welcome to the second in a series of informational videos that we have created in order to instruct us on how to get back together again. The first was a video for those who will be attending our worship services both outside and inside. And this second one is for ushers who are assisting in worshiping out of doors. Not a lot of things to remember, but it's always important to keep track of the details. When you arrive, worship will take place here in the yard next to the east cloister. That's the long pillared side of the building that is on the Ashland side, the east side of our property. The lawn will seat about 45 people, giving us some overflow for the people who on the sidewalk will be leading worship. When you arrive, we ask that you come 15 minutes or so before worship to be sure that everything is all set up for those who are going to be gathering for our worship service. Most outdoor worship services are going to be in the afternoon on Sundays so that the sun has moved and we are in a shady area as opposed to underneath of the beating sun. So for outdoor worship, Sunday afternoons, here's what you need to know as an usher. When you arrive, the pastor or a member of the music crew will have already opened up this door into the east cloister. Most of the equipment is going to be here in the hallway, staged for us to do worship outside. You can see that there's amplifier and speakers and a mixer all ready to go up outside. That's not what the ushers will need to attend to. The ushers are going to be asked to find this blue storage box. Inside this blue storage box are going to be attendance sheets and the supplies that you will need to lead people through the worship service. Inside the blue container, there's hand sanitizer, regular sanitizer, rags, disposable wipes, disposable face masks, and a few informational signs. Inside the box, there should also be an attendance registration clipboard and attendance registration sheets for you to complete for each worship service. Note on the sheet that you will be including the date and the time of the event, the location, whether it's in the lawn or the sanctuary, your name, the person taking the names, and phone number and email. Mark which facility is being used, placing an X next to, in this case, the lawn, noting a limit of 45 plus worship leaders. The number of attendees and the location noted above, we will take off of the list after people have completed it and worship is over. Overflow space for outdoor worship is going to be people in their cars on either Ashland or Elm Avenues. When an individual arrives, we ask that you take their name and ask them if their contact information is updated with the church office. If the answer is yes, you do not need to fill in phone or email, but you can fill in their name, and if it is updated, then you can merely indicate so. If there are multiple members of the same family, please one line for each family member. If it is a family with children, say husband and wife with 4 kids, you can say Joe and Mary and just draw a line down to 6. And we'll know that if there's any problem, we can contact either Joe or Mary Schmo, and they will be responsible for contacting their children. Don't leave any spaces, and don't allow the person to sign themselves in. The goal is to keep the pen untransferred and in the hand of only one person at a time. You'll notice that the attendance sheet is numbered 1 to 45. When the attendance sheet is full, that should give an indication that the worship space is full, and we begin to invite worshipers to remain in their vehicles. You may also take the names of those who have been in their vehicles. If they have come up as far as the sign-in table, their names should be noticed in case we need them for contact tracing. And so you will add their names to the overflow list, gathering overflow attendance sheet. At the end of the worship service, return the completed attendance sheets along with the clipboard to the blue bin. We will take those out and file them in the church office for 2 weeks. At the conclusion of 2 weeks, the sign-in sheets will be destroyed. So why are we checking for names and contact information for every individual that attends worship and or event at FPCLG? Well, that is for public health contact tracing. If an individual is in attendance here and finds out that they are positive for COVID and believe that they may have been positive for COVID while we gathered, then this will give us an opportunity to allow contact tracers to be in touch with everyone else who was gathered at that event, so that they may self-quarantine until they have a negative COVID-19 test. Hopefully, we'll never need those sheets, but that's why we only keep them for 14 days, because if we've had no one test positive for COVID in that 2-week frame, then there's no need to continue to keep the names. After you have made sure that you have the sign-in sheet from the blue bin, and that the blue bin contains all the materials that it needs to, there should be a large table, folding table, that is placed here along Elm Street sidewalk. That table will be placed here, and that is where we will have the sign-in sheet, and you may place the bottles of hand sanitizer for those to use when they arrive for worship. In addition, there will be folding chairs, either just inside the east cloister door or already brought out to the sidewalk. An usher should be responsible for making sure that chairs are set out only for those individuals who do not bring their own chairs. We want to minimize contact, and so we're trying to minimize the number of chairs that we actually provide for an event, because someone can use their own chair and take it home to their own home and not contaminate or be contaminated by anyone else. Remember, we're not going to be handing out bulletins because, again, we don't want that contact trade from one hand to another on paper, on pens, and so there'll be no bulletins. The service will merely be announced as it flows, and individuals invited to participate. Another usher will be invited to make sure that safe social distancing occurs on the church lawn, asking family groups to sit together, but permitting 6 feet distant between each of the clusters of the household. So an usher will be invited to just point out where the space is going to be. We will have ways for you to be able to demonstrate 6 feet so that the distance between the gathered households will be enforced. Encourage people, if you see them, to pull their mask up, put it on right, keep smiling. It's an invitation for people to do their best. At the conclusion of worship, any chairs that have been handed out, we're going to ask the ushers to collect and place here against the wall. And then another usher will be assigned to wipe them down before they go back into the cloister hallway. We have sanitizer, we have disposable rags, and we have wipes. If you're carrying the chairs, please remember, do not touch your face until after you have used hand sanitizer thoroughly or washed your hands, and then you can go and remove your mask. We don't want any transfer of COVID from the chairs to the ushers who are doing their good work, because we need you back next week too. In the rare event that somebody becomes ill during a worship service outdoors, we need to take precautions to be sure that that individual is able to get home safely or the medical attention they need, and at the same time not risk the spread of contact to other worshipers. If someone indicates that they are sick, we invite them, if they are able, to return to their vehicles and head home or to the medical attention they need, unless they are so very ill or they do not currently have a ride, in which case we will invite you to bring them into the building into the communication room, which is a room with the mailboxes in the hallway just up the stairs across from the parlor. Close the door so that the contamination doesn't spread around. Make sure the individual is comfortable. And there is a sign in the box that you will hang that says this room has been contaminated and should not be touched for 24 hours. Step back while medical personnel arrives or while the ride arrives to be able to get the individual to safety. Again, we do not believe that that will be necessary, but it's nice to have a plan in advance just in case. Also, during outdoor worship services, we're going to discourage the use of the washrooms, but if somebody just has no choice, and we'll be using the men's room at the bottom of the stairs underneath of the parlor, and the woman's room on the first floor hallway across from the parlor. Men's room down in the basement, women's room across from the parlor. There will also be signs that will say occupied or open, and those signs will be turned. We ask, and if ushers are asked to encourage people only one at a time in the washrooms. So that's it for ushering for an outdoor service. Not extremely complicated, especially since there's no offering, no bulletins, no shaking hands, no hugs. Basically, just make sure people sign in, find a safe place on the lawn, enjoy worship, bring the chair back up to the building. We don't want lots of people carrying them, so we should assign an usher to the carrying of chairs out and back in. Don't touch your face until you've been able to sanitize your hand. Another usher will be assigned to wipe the tops of the chairs and sides down before they go back into the building. Any questions? Thanks for watching this outdoor usher instructional video. Of course, the ushers, smile with your eyes, love with your hands, but don't touch.